And then we move to our next chairperson, Dom Pedante. Welcome. What amazing accomplishments under your tenure.
Well, the accomplishments really are to your credit. You know, what I was able to do, I think, was help build some relationships with people in the community and organizations in the community that may have fostered that. But your staff, and you in particular, did a wonderful job in making those things happen. And I often tell people about how I first got involved with the organization, and it was because I was a school counselor at Howard High School of Technology at the time, and was invited to the Purses to Portfolios event on the riverfront. And I brought a group of students there, and we attended one of your sessions, and you talked about credit and capital and people's access to credit and what they could do if they were not receiving fair treatment. And I just remember hearing the questions following your talk and people saying, I have $30,000 in credit card debt and I don't know what to do. Another person raised their hand and said, how many times does the bank call you before they come and take your house? And I just thought right then, wow, this is an organization that really helps people that are in dire situations. And I wanted to get involved right then. And I knew Bob Watson, who was the chair of the board at that time, and I talked with him and he said, yeah, we'd love to have you there. I didn't know that in 3 years he was going to be leaving and then I would have to be the chair, but that was okay because he was a wonderful mentor. And a lot of the things that happened after he was the chairperson really were started by him as the chair or the board at that time, and of course you and your staff. And I was able to be part of that and you know, I guess appreciate the work that was involved to make those things happen. But the other thing that I remember all the time is all the wonderful people that we met here in the process, not just in the city of Wilmington, but statewide also. And the cooperation that we received from political people, community leaders, and other organizations. And those relationships are the things that really have traveled with me, even as I've been retired from the organization.
You know, three things I always associate with my work with you as co-leaders of this great organization. One, every meeting, if there was something that was proposed that wasn't that was for the first time we were exploring, your question would be, what do you want us to do? The second thing was always your absolute deep belief in what we were doing and the fact that we were on the east side and how you wanted it to become the premier location where folk from worldwide would come and visit. And that dream has come true. So I will share a few visitors worldwide that have come there. And the third thing was you were open to deep questions so that when we launched something, we were prepared. So examples of that was the DCREC law firm. Examples of that was when we led our board and staff to a very difficult decision on taking on the state of Delaware for misappropriation of mortgage settlement dollars. In all of these three things is what I think of when I think of you. Tell us about our folk that you brought to Church Street for making it this premier?
Well, certainly getting to know the organization on the east side of Wilmington was easy for me because I was already there at Howard High School, and that school had a long tradition of great work on the east side of Wilmington, and many connections were already in place. What I was so impressed with when I first got involved with the organization was how welcoming you were and that community to allowing us to expand and contact others and make them feel part of what we were doing, whether that be the churches in the community or the community centers that we worked with, and not just on the east side of Wilmington, but kind of all throughout Delaware. And also, we expanded outside of Wilmington, and that was a big step for us to do that, to really become a statewide organization. You know, we went down to Sussex County, we went down to Kent County, and we provided services there that we had been providing here for a number of years, but we didn't really have, I guess, the staff, resources at the time, but we as an organization made the commitment. You know, if we're going to be a statewide organization, then we need to reach out and do that. The other thing that I remember quite vividly is the celebrations that we had that made us feel so connected to people in the community. And it also gave, I think, your staff, as well as all of us that were volunteers, and all of our board members were volunteers, no one was paid. We felt so rewarded by how much the folks from the community accepted us and made us feel like what we were doing was very important. And it still is very important.
Yep, you were always there at every barbecue with your chef's hat, apron, and good, ready to go. Fun days pre-pandemic, and after hopefully there is a post-pandemic and we can bring some of those back. The Celebrate CRA events were always such great places. I want to talk a little about Howard High School and DCREC's relationship, and two of the interns that were with us one has moved on, but have left an indelible mark on our organization. One, Jabri Chambers, and the other, Maricela Tovar Rangel, who's still at the credit union. So what was it about DCREC and Howard, given that you knew both of us, that you felt would be a good feeder pattern, if you will?
Well, I think certainly the community we were part of the community. Howard High School has always been part of the community, and DCREC hasn't been around as long, but certainly is part of the community. And it just seemed like a perfect fit to have students involved in the things that you were doing there. Even if they were at an internship level, it was still a wonderful experience for them to interact with people in the community, as well as your staff and folks who came in for services. I know how rewarding it was to those students, because they told me as a counselor, you know, how much they appreciated the things that they did there and how they were treated by you and your staff. And as an educator, that was really important to me. The other thing I think that worked out wonderfully was how we were able to partner with an organization that came and did construction work on site, because we got a really good price to get the remodels done on the building, and also were able to train people in the process, in the construction trades, to do that. So those are the kind of partnerships I think that were really important and meant a lot to me personally during the time that we were together. The other thing that comes to mind for me often is seeing how we were able also to recognize those people in the community, in the political realm, in the banking field, who got it, who knew what we were doing was really important. And each year we had an opportunity at Celebrate CRA to recognize some of those people for really being part of it and making what we did important to the community at large. I think that we always were good at measuring the things that we did and the projects that we took on by looking at our mission statement. And we would regularly evaluate that and see if, is this something that fits our mission? Is our mission up to date? And I think any organization that's worthwhile really needs to do that. And I think that we did a really good job of that and continue to do that.
Yeah. You brought up the fact that relatively we are a very young nonprofit organization. And in terms of programmatic expansion, we are younger than our 35 years because the only first couple of years we were advocacy period, then we started doing financial education. But foreclosure prevention work began really in the 2008 under your tenure at that time. A lot of deep advocacy began. I mean, the world around us was chaotic when we were faced with the financial crisis. And without your leadership with the board helping us solve and walk a fine line of meeting our clients' needs, at the same time assuring that we didn't lose our ability to keep the lights on. And those were very difficult times.
There were some tough times, yeah. And I think, you and your staff certainly deserve a lot of credit for being out ahead of the curve. And I remember you saying long before the collapse in 2008, this is going to be bad. This is coming down soon. And you were right on. But we, as a small organization, really weren't able to stop it, certainly. But we were able to help people prepare a little bit for it, I think. The other thing that I think about often, Rashmi, is how some of the banks that we protested ended up becoming our biggest advocates. And I think that happened because they learned to trust us. They learned to trust you and Jacqueline and other staff members, that we weren't doing anything that was personally benefiting us, that it was really because we were doing the right thing, And I think we gained a lot of respect from those organizations, and consequently, they became our partners and they became some of our biggest advocates. And that really says a lot about the organization, I think.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Looking forward, where do you see us head as we navigate the next decade or so?
I think that's a really tough question, and I've thought about that before, and certainly keeping the organization financially afloat is really important. I think you can never stop looking ahead and trying to develop new relationships and putting the organization in a position to do good work for people that need it the most. So I think while you're trying to make sure that you have the resources to do what you need to do, you also have to look into the community and say, how can we help those that are really in dire straits? And we need to do it throughout the state of Delaware.
Yeah, I remember that, your charge. So Rashmi, yes, we do all this in Wilmington, but you say we are statewide. When will we have our office in Georgetown? We have our office in Georgetown.
Yeah, that was a big accomplishment.
Yes,
it really
was.
Yeah. I am really grateful for the time that I spent with the organization and your staff. You have a wonderful staff, and I think, your leadership has been really what has made the organization, one of the most respected not-for-profit organizations in Delaware, and I think it'll continue. And you've earned that respect because of the things you have done and because of the honesty that you've had with people, even when it was a tough thing to do, but you made it happen, and I was glad to be part of it.
It was a roller coaster of a ride, and you stuck with me all those years. And I did cause a lot of anguish, but that is my job. You were there with me through this journey. So thank you. I have learned so much. I've learned the importance of being open, honest, thinking, accepting, questioning, which I would think, hello, I've already thought it, Dom. I would never come and propose something without thinking it through. But you're getting to the why, so that not just me, but everyone on our board understood why we were headed in the direction we were. It has been a delight to co-lead DCREC with you.
Yeah.
So thank you so much,
For me too.
Dom.
Thanks.
Thank you.